Could it be that what you're waiting for is actually waiting for you? You've read the books, you've tried the affirmations, you've visualized, hoped, watched the clock, and whispered your desires to the stars, but somewhere deep inside, there's a whisper that says, it's still not here. Why? What if I told you? It is here, not in some distant tomorrow, not in some reward after years of spiritual performance. It's already done. Neville Goddard gave us the key. Creation is finished. That means your dream, your vision, the thing you ache for, it's not something to create. It's something to occupy. You're not here to attract it like a magnet. You're here to step into it like a costume, like a role that was written with your name stitched inside the collar. But the mind resists this, doesn't it? You've been trained to strive, to hustle, to achieve, to prove you're ready, to earn your miracle like a paycheck. And now the exhaustion sets in. People sit in meditation for years, not realizing they're actually waiting, not manifesting. They wait for signs. They wait for a better feeling. They wait to feel worthy. But that waiting is a state in itself, and it only calls forth more waiting. Neville said, "Dare to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Not tomorrow. Now. You're not becoming the version of you who has it. You already are. The only shift is within consciousness. And the moment you enter the right state, the bridge of incidence begins to move." Now let's ground this in science for a moment. Dr. Bruce Lipton's work in epigenetics reveals something fascinating. Your environment, including your imagined environment, directly alters gene expression. Your DNA responds to perception, not reality, but your perception of it. So what happens when you imagine yourself already living in the end, already walking in the scene of fulfillment? Your body doesn't know the difference. Your cells obey. Your nervous system aligns, and reality begins to reflect a new signal. Here's a metaphor for it. Imagine an old radio. Every station, jazz, news, classical, rock, is playing right now. You don't create those frequencies, you just tune the dial. When you align your inner world with the reality you desire, by feeling, assuming, and entering, you change the station, and the music changes with it. Not because you summoned it, but because it was already there. So in this journey, we're not going to make it happen. We're going to enter what already is. Because manifestation isn't the creation of something new. It's the claiming of what has always been yours, just waiting for you to say yes. Let's begin. Desire is holy. It's the spark of creation within you. But when desire is not followed by assumption, it becomes torment. Why? Because to want something while refusing to enter the state of already having it is to stretch your soul across a canyon of contradiction. You feel the pull of the thing, yet your inner world keeps insisting, not yet, not me, not now. This is the spiritual torture Neville spoke of. You are told to ask and it is given, yet you keep living in the asking, never the receiving. The mind whispers one day, the heart aches, but I want it now. And all the while, you remain in the posture of lack, which only amplifies more of itself. Desire without embodiment is like standing beside a fire and shivering, refusing to step into its warmth. You pray for heat, but you don't move closer. You don't get warm by longing for flames. You get warm by entering them. And what happens when you do? Reality adjusts. Let's borrow from psychology. The Pygmalion effect teaches us that outcomes rise or fall to meet the expectations you place upon them. Not what you hope for, but what you believe is already so. When you walk in the expectation of a fulfilled desire, life reshapes itself to reflect that conviction. So here's a practice, the reversal ritual. Instead of fantasizing about your desire as a future event, feel it as a past memory. Close your eyes and say, "Wasn't it beautiful when it all came together?" Let the body recall the satisfaction as if it already happened. This single reversal collapses time. It moves you from hoping to remembering, and in that state, desire becomes gratitude, and reality becomes response. Ask yourself, are you still wishing for fire, or are you willing to walk into it? If your desire feels out of reach, it may not be your vision that needs adjustment. It may be your identity. You say you want the relationship, the career, the health, the money, and you do, sincerely. But what you assume about yourself, silently, constantly, habitually, is what truly dictates the reality you occupy. You cannot carry the energy of your old self into the doorway of your new life. The frequency simply doesn't match. Neville Goddard once said, "To be transformed, the whole basis of your thoughts must change. Not just the thoughts about your goals, but the thoughts about you." Here lies the identity trap. You are trying to arrive somewhere new while clinging to the emotional passport of where you've already been. The doubts, the fears, the stories. "I'm just not lucky. I've always struggled. People like me don't get those things." They masquerade as humility or realism. But in truth, they're rehearsals of a self-image that no longer serves you. In psychological terms, this is self-image theory. It states that your behavior, perception, and even your interpretation of external events will always align with your dominant self-concept, even if that self-concept is outdated or self-sabotaging. So, when a new opportunity arises, you unconsciously filter it through your old story. You talk yourself out of risks. You misinterpret kindness as manipulation. You procrastinate, self-correct, or shrink to fit a past that no longer belongs to you. That's not failure. That's identity fidelity. Your subconscious remaining loyal to a version of you that you haven't officially released. And here's the twist. Your desires are not just preferences. They're invitations from your future self. They are the natural expression of who you are becoming. But if you keep projecting them through the lens of who you've been, you create static, an energetic interference between intention and embodiment. So how do we escape this loop? One powerful practice is the Future Now mirror exercise. It's deceptively simple, but radically transformative. You stand before your mirror, not as you are, but as who you desire to be. Not imagining the change is coming, but assuming it's already occurred. Then, from that state, you speak aloud to your current self, as though giving advice from the mountaintop. Let that version tell you how they see the world, what they believe, how they move, what they've let go of. And watch, the words will come. Not from fantasy, but from memory. Because deep down, your consciousness already knows what it's like to be that version. You're not inventing it, you're recalling it. Metaphorically speaking, this is like trying to upgrade a palace while keeping all the ruins from the previous building. You can pour in golden light, but if the foundation is still cracked, the structure can't hold. So ask yourself, honestly, and without judgment, what identity am I still inhabiting that no longer matches the reality I'm trying to enter? Until that shifts, the scenery may change, but the story remains the same, and your manifestation will always be filtered through the echo of who you believe you are. The future you want is waiting, but it cannot land where the old self still resides. We've been trained to think in timelines. It'll come when I'm ready. It's not the right moment yet. The universe will deliver it when the time is right. But time is not the factor. State is. Neville Goddard taught that the entire universe is a response, not to your clock, but to your consciousness. The delay you perceive is not reality hesitating. It's you hesitating to fully assume the end. Quantum physics has caught up with this truth. In the phenomenon known as superposition, particles exist in multiple potential states simultaneously, until observed. The act of observation collapses possibility into form. What does this mean for you? It means all versions of your life already exist. The wealthy you, the lonely you, the healed you, the joyful you, the overlooked you, all of them. But the one you assume, the one you feel, the one you observe within, is the one that becomes visible. You are not waiting for your dream to come true. It's waiting for you to choose it, claim it, embody it. This is the quantum gap, not a gap in time, but a gap in identity. You can feel it when you're thinking about the goal, but still behaving as someone who hasn't arrived. That's the vibration of waiting. And waiting is a state of consciousness that creates only more waiting. Neville said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and continue in that assumption. Not occasionally, not once a week when you feel good, but as a constant inner residence." One technique to close this gap is the state-switching activation. For 5 uninterrupted minutes, live as the version of you who already has it. Walk around your room. Breathe like them. Speak like them. Feel the weight lifted, the fulfillment realized. What problems would you stop solving? What thoughts would no longer be relevant? What would your body do differently? Let that version take over the scene. Because once the state is real, Reality must conform. Here's the metaphor. You're at a train station. The destination is not going to come to you. The train isn't turning around. You must step onto it. The moment you do, the journey begins. So ask yourself now, are you truly waiting for something to happen? Or are you postponing your arrival in the only place that matters, the state of fulfillment? Before we move on, pause for a moment. If this is resonating, if some part of you knows you've been standing at the edge of a reality that's already calling your name, then check the pinned comment. There's something waiting there that speaks directly to this moment. Not to who you've been, but to who you're finally ready to be. Now let's keep going, because the next truth might explain why your imagination has been working against you, without you even realizing it. It's an uncomfortable truth. Sometimes we fall in love with the idea of the dream more than the dream itself. We keep imagining, visualizing, scripting, not to embody the end, but to escape the now. The result? Nothing shifts. Why? Because there's a difference between emotional embodiment and neurological addiction, between creation and craving. Modern neuroscience shows us that dopamine, the brain's motivation chemical, doesn't spike with reward. It spikes with anticipation. We are chemically rewarded not for having, but for expecting. This creates a loop. You imagine something wonderful, you get a little hit of dopamine, and then you crash. And what do? You imagine again and again, but you never enter. It becomes spiritual entertainment. Neville never taught us to live in desire. He taught us to assume the end, to feel from, not just about, to live in the scene of completion, not hover in the emotion of someday. Here's the trap. You think you're manifesting, but you're really feeding the anticipation loop. You get temporary satisfaction from imagining the desire, but because you haven't embodied the version of you who already has it, nothing moves. Neville said, to feel the reality of the state sought, rather than to feel about it, is to enter into the possession of it. That's the missing piece. So here's a practice. The desire detox fast. For 24 hours. No hoping, no craving, no waiting. Just being. You wake up as the person who already has it. You speak from that place. You make decisions from that place. You withdraw your energy from the fantasy of arrival and reinvest it into the embodiment of presence. Because presence is the doorway. Metaphorically, it's like watching the trailer of your favorite movie over and over again, but never going to see the actual film. It gives you just enough emotion to feel engaged, but never enough transformation to actually change your state. So ask yourself, are you using your imagination to inhabit the wish fulfilled, or just to distract yourself from the discomfort of not yet? Only one of those rewires reality. The other keeps you busy while your dream collects dust in the archives of your potential. So often, without realizing it, people turn manifestation into a negotiation. If I meditate long enough, I'll be rewarded. If I visualize the right way, the universe will notice. If I'm good, I'll get what I want. But this isn't manifestation. It's bargaining. It's turning imagination into currency and the universe into a vending machine. And it doesn't work, not because you aren't worthy, but because that approach reinforces separation. It keeps your desire in the future, like a prize that must be earned rather than a reality that must be claimed. Neville Goddard was clear. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Not, work until you deserve it. Not, convince the universe to give it to you. Assume it. Live it. Be it. The moment you make manifestation conditional, if I do X, then I'll get Y, you slip into a transactional mindset. But the law of consciousness doesn't respond to your effort. It responds to your identity, your state of being, the vibration of alreadiness. Imagine a person dancing for rain. They perform rituals, sing songs, plead with the sky. But what if instead they became the cloud? What if they took on the nature of what they were asking for? This is the difference between performing for the thing and embodying the thing. To correct this pattern, use the State Before Strategy journal. Each morning ask, who am I being right now? Is this the version of me who already lives in the fulfilled desire? Then write from that state, what they focus on, what they value, what they no longer chase. Let your actions flow from identity, not toward results. Because the path to your desire is not a checklist. It's a mirror. The more you treat manifestation like a trade, if I sacrifice enough, I'll be blessed. The more you affirm your separation from the thing you seek, But the moment you let go of transaction and rest in embodiment, the shift begins. The universe is not a business. It's a reflection, and it cannot reflect what you do not first possess within yourself. So ask yourself, are you walking in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled? Or are you still negotiating terms hoping for a contract to be approved? The truth is simple. You don't earn the new reality. You enter it by being it. There's a subtle force, often overlooked, that quietly decides whether your manifestation arrives swiftly or stalls indefinitely. It's not visualization. It's not scripting. It's not even belief in the outcome. It's belief in yourself. More specifically, self-possession, your capacity to fully occupy your identity without hesitation, apology, or external permission. Most people unconsciously defer their power. They wait for signs, for validation, for someone to confirm, yes, you may now have the thing. But this very waiting is a vibration of disempowerment. It's the frequency of requesting, not inhabiting. Neville Goddard taught, you must dare to assume you are what you want to be, and you must dare to remain faithful to that assumption. This daring is an act of self-possession. It's not loud. It's not forced. It's a quiet, anchored internal certainty. I am this now. In psychology, this mirrors what's called the Galatea effect, the idea that what you believe about yourself shapes your life more than what anyone else believes about you. It's not the opinion of others that manifests reality. It's your own self-concept repeated in thought and feeling that writes the script of your world. But here's the heartbreak. Many never receive what they desire because they don't feel worthy of arrival. They delay embodiment, thinking they must become something else before stepping into the dream. But the dream doesn't come after you change. The dream is the change. Practice self-possession by using the entitlement embodiment drill. Speak, not from hope, but from completion. Instead of saying, I want to be wealthy, say, it's wonderful being someone who manages wealth with peace and confidence. Instead of, I want to feel loved, say, of course I'm loved. It's who I am. Let your tone shift from seeking to stating, from chasing to claiming. Because reality isn't a courtroom where you argue your case. It's a kingdom, and your assumption is the only passport you need to enter. Here's the metaphor. Life is a locked door, but not because it's withholding. It opens instantly, the moment you stop knocking and realize the key has been in your hand the entire time. That key is self-possession. So ask yourself, are you waiting for someone to validate your dream? Or are you willing to become the version of you who validates it by walking in it? The universe doesn't respond to request. It mirrors recognition. Recognize yourself, and everything changes. Let's ground these principles in something real. A man I once taught came to me burdened by a simple but heavy desire. Financial freedom. Not luxury, not millions, just the ability to live freely, creatively, without fear. But he was obsessed with the how. Every morning began with strategy. Every night ended in doubt. He was always calculating, planning, trying to predict which path might lead to the result. And yet the result never came, until he did something radical. He let go of the method entirely. Neville wrote, "The end of longing is being," and that's what this man chose. Instead of fixating on the path, he began living from the result. Not toward it, from it. He imagined not the job offer, not the bank transfer, not the strategy, but the aftermath. He saw himself smiling as he opened his laptop in a home he loved. He felt the lightness in his chest while paying bills with ease. He imagined dinners with friends where money was no longer a question. No logic, no timeline, just immersion in the end. And then the strangest thing happened. The path began to unfold, effortlessly. A past client reached out. A friend offered to partner on a business idea. A property deal he had forgotten about finally came through. Not one of these things was part of his plan, but all of them were part of the scene he had embodied. This is the paradox. The moment he stopped obsessing over how it would arrive, it did. Why? Because he was no longer blocking it with doubt, no longer demanding a step-by-step breakdown. He had moved out of control and into consciousness. The technique he used, which you can use at any time, is called end scene expansion. You close your eyes, and instead of trying to create the path, you jump straight to the ending, but not as a peak moment, as a natural memory. You experience the result as if it has already matured into your life. Not just the victory, but the peace that follows it. Here's the metaphor. He stopped baking the cake and simply began smelling it. And the smell was so convincing the kitchen responded. Ask yourself, are you tangled in the steps? Or are you brave enough to leap into the feeling that it's already done? Because the bridge of incidents doesn't need your control. It needs your permission. And that permission begins with surrendering the how and falling completely into the now of the fulfilled self. You say you want the new life, the relationship, the abundance, the freedom, and consciously, you do. But underneath the surface, in the quiet spaces of your nervous system, something resists. Something flinches at the threshold of change. And here lies the hidden paradox. Most people don't fail to manifest because their desire isn't clear or their imagination isn't vivid. They fail because part of them is afraid of what the manifestation will demand. Neville Goddard often reminded us, you must be willing to die to the old man before you can be born into the new. And this is no poetic exaggeration. Manifestation is not only an act of creation, it's an act of emotional death. You must let go of the known even if it's painful, because pain that is familiar still feels safer to the subconscious than joy that is unknown. This is why someone can say, I want love, but fear being seen. They can say, I want wealth, but panic when it requires new standards. They can say, I want freedom, but secretly grieve the loss of their struggle identity. Fear of change isn't irrational, it's biological. The body equates safety with sameness. Even if the old life hurt, at least it was predictable. The new life? It's open, it's uncharted, and that makes your inner world cautious. So what's the solution? You need to associate change with safety, not with threat. You need to convince your subconscious that the new reality is not only possible, but safe to inhabit. This is where the safe abundance anchor comes in. Take the state you want, say, ease in finances, and consciously pair it with a feeling of safety. Breathe deeply, relax your body, slow your heart rate, and then bring in the image of your fulfilled self, not rushing toward success, but resting in it. Feel how natural, even boring, it becomes to have the thing you once thought was far away. Teach your nervous system to relax into your dream, not recoil from it. Here's the metaphor. You say you want a new house, but every night you bolt the door shut from the inside. You want out, but only if it doesn't cost you the comfort of your old pain. So ask yourself, is it really the dream you fear, or the transformation it requires? The manifestation doesn't only arrive when you believe in it. It arrives when your whole being feels safe to live in it. Until then, you may knock on the door of your dream, but you won't walk through it. Not because the door is locked, but because you haven't yet said, it's safe for me to enter. We've explored the mindset, the traps, and the emotional landscape of manifestation. Now let's get specific. Neville Goddard didn't teach us to beg the universe or to wait for signs. He taught us to enter the state, and from that state, allow life to reflect the assumption. But how do you do that moment by moment with clarity and power? Here is a simple, potent 3-step entry protocol, grounded in Neville's core technique. You can remember it by one word. Enter, emotionally navigate the embodied reality. Step 1. Choose a scene that implies fulfillment. Not the peak moment of getting what you want, but the normalcy that comes after. For example, instead of imagining signing the contract, imagine walking through your home, freshly paid. Instead of imagining a wedding, imagine waking up beside your partner on an ordinary morning. Pick something simple, something lived in. Neville said, "It is not the thinking of the end that produces the result, but the feeling of the end." So you must move beyond logic and drop into the emotional experience. Step 2. Feel it as if waking from a memory, not watching a future. This is subtle, but essential. You are not peering into the future. You are remembering what is already yours. Feel the texture of the clothes, the rhythm of your breath, the mood of the moment. Don't perform it. Absorb it. Let the state sink into your body like a memory from last week. Step 3. Dwell in it, repetitively, emotionally, silently. Don't rush to do something next. Don't try to figure out the steps. Just remain in the atmosphere of the end. Return to it throughout the day, not as effort, but as identity. You are not trying to get there. You are staying where you belong. This is what Neville meant when he said, To dwell in the state is to live in the assumption, and to live in the assumption is to live in the only reality that exists. Here's the metaphor. Reality is a room. You don't need to build it. You don't need to earn the key, you just need to walk in. And once inside, you don't keep peeking out the window to see if it worked. You relax, you decorate, you stay. So ask yourself, are you touching the state occasionally, or are you living there? Because manifestation isn't a flash of magic. It's the gradual unfolding of a reality you've already entered, emotionally, repeatedly, until the world has no choice but to catch up. Intentions are powerful, but only when your frequency matches them. You can speak affirmations. You can write down your goals. You can declare with passion what you intend to create. But if your emotional baseline, your felt state of being, is still rooted in fear, lack, or disbelief, then the frequency you emit will cancel out the signal you send. Neville Goddard was precise when he said, "A change of feeling is a change of destiny, not a change of wording, not a change of effort, a change of feeling." Because feeling is the frequency of consciousness. It is the vibration that sends the command to reality. This is the hidden war, the conflict between what you say you want and what you feel is possible, the gap between your declared intention and your practiced identity. You may affirm, "I am abundant," while your nervous system is still bracing for financial crisis. You may visualize love but contract emotionally every time someone gets close. These contradictions aren't moral failings. They're simply signs that your inner state has not caught up with your vision. Science supports this. Heart rate variability coherence, as studied in neurocardiology, shows that your emotional and physiological harmony directly impacts the clarity of your intention. When your heart, brain, and body are in coherence, when you are calm, centered, and emotionally congruent, your thoughts gain creative force. Your field stabilizes. Your intentions become coherent transmissions rather than scrambled signals. To bridge this gap, use the Tune the Transmission breathwork. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply and evenly. Slow the rhythm of your thoughts by slowing the rhythm of your breath. As your body softens, bring in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Not the words, the feeling. Let your breath carry that feeling through your body. Let it settle into your chest, your limbs, your voice. Do this until the thought and the frequency match. That's when manifestation becomes magnetic. Here's the metaphor. You're trying to stream a high-definition dream over a static, flickering signal. It keeps buffering, not because the dream is wrong, but because the connection is weak. Strengthen the signal, and the vision flows smoothly. So ask yourself, do your feelings match your affirmations? Or are you declaring a future while still emotionally tied to the past? When intention and frequency align, the world bends to reflect it. Until then, you're speaking one language and living in another. And reality listens not to your words, but to your vibration. You're not waiting for your new reality. Your new reality is waiting for you. It's not delayed, it's not distant. It's done. Neville Goddard taught, "Creation is finished." Everything you desire already exists in consciousness, not as potential, but as an unclaimed state. It is not something you attract. It is something you enter. The mistake we often make is believing we must earn it, reach it, or be chosen by it. But manifestation isn't about achieving. It's about assuming. The state of the wish fulfilled is already present, but it requires you to inhabit it fully, emotionally, energetically, quietly. And that's the paradox. You keep searching for evidence it's real, while the reality itself is waiting for you to believe it first. Bruce Lipton's work confirms this from a biological level. Your perception, especially your imagined reality, changes the signals your body responds to. That means the moment you begin feeling from the desired state, your physiology shifts, your actions shift, and the outer world bends to match the new signal. Neville wrote, "To be conscious of being something is to be that which you are conscious of being." That is not symbolic. It is literal. Your world reflects the state you consistently occupy, not the words you speak, but the assumptions you carry in silence. So let's reframe the whole idea of manifestation. You are not creating a future. You are selecting a reality and entering it now, with your mood, your self-concept, your inner tone. You don't need to push the door open. You only need to realize it was never locked. Imagine life as a stage already set. The lights are on, The role is written. The only missing piece is the actor, you, stepping fully into the character of the fulfilled self. No more rehearsing. No more waiting for confirmation. You are the confirmation. So ask yourself this final question. What does it feel like to know it's already done? Feel that. Return to it. Because once you do, the only thing left is for life to echo back what you've dared to embody. And if this message stirred something within you even slightly, check the pinned comment. There's something there waiting for you to find it.